Good morning, everyone, and my name is Nicole Jackson. I'm with the Office of the Chief Procurement Officer, and I would like to thank you all for coming out to HUD's third annual HUBZone conference. Before we get started, I wanted to give you a few administrative items. Would ask that you please silence your cell phones. If you have important business that you need to see to, we just ask that you step out into the lobby. Also, out the lobby and to your left, at the end of the hallway, you will find the restrooms. You can go at your leisure. And also, we also have a cafe that's out the doors to your right if you need some refreshments. So we're going to get started this morning. Just want to welcome you all for coming to HUBZone's third annual conference. We're going to start with our first speaker, Ms. Jinglun Powell, who was recently appointed in July 2017 as the Director of the Office of Small and Disadvantaged Utilization for the Department of Housing and Urban Development. Ms. Powell has over 25 years of federal and operations experience. Previously, she served as the Deputy Assistant Secretary for Business Management and Administration, Chief Management Officer in HUD's Office of the Chief Human Capital Officer, and the General Deputy Assistant Secretary for HUD's Office of Policy Development and Research. She's an Excellence in Government Senior Fellow and a recipient of the Presidential Rank Award. She's also a certified executive and leadership coach. If you all please welcome Ms. Jean Powell.
Thank you, Nicole, for that very kind introduction. And welcome. It's great to see all of you here. Thank you for joining us today. This is our third annual HUBZone Business Training Conference, and we're so delighted that you're able to participate in this outreach event. I'd like to thank the co-sponsor of this event, the Office of the Chief Procurement Officer, and I also want to thank the program offices for their strong support. We also have guest speakers today and a whole lineup of federal partners here to meet with you. So we have a terrific lineup of leadership speakers. First of all, HUD Secretary Carson is en route and will be speaking to you today, as well as our Deputy Chief of Staff, Ms. Deena Bass-Williams. And we have SBA directors here today, and actually they're going to be spending a whole day with us. They're going to provide excellent training to our HUD employees later this afternoon, so we're very appreciative. We will have also a panel discussion, and they'll share their tips for success in being successful in the HUBZone program, and that will be moderated by the HUBZone Council. And of course, all of you are waiting to be part of the matchmaking session that will occur after the formal program. We have all of our program and acquisition staff participating in the next room and out in the outer hallway. We also have a slew of federal partners. You'll see the federal agencies such as USDA, Department of Energy, Labor, General Services Administration, of course, U.S. Small Business Administration, National Science Foundation, the HUBZone Council, and the Procurement Technical Assistance Centers of DC and as well as Virginia and SCORE. So please take advantage of the opportunity to meet with them. And we also have prime contractors that are also seeking teaming opportunities with all of you. I wanted to highlight a couple of things that are noteworthy that we're doing here at HUD in being much more strategic in our acquisitions. So for one, we recently set aside just for HUBZones an editorial research contract, and it's multi-million-dollar opportunity. Also, in our new partnership with our Office of Inspector General, they, for the first time, set aside contract opportunities for HUBZone, as well as service-disabled vet-owned small businesses. And my office is reviewing quite closely SBA's Blueprint for Success, and we want to glean the best practices in order for us to maximize opportunities for all of you. So I do want to encourage all of you, please, please do participate. When you see a notice, solicitation notice or sources sought notice, please put in your proposal. Please tailor your capability statement for that specific opportunity. And also, keep on coming to the events like these. These are great opportunities for networking, for all of you to meet each other, for us to get to know you, and for you to get to know our acquisition and our program staff. Save the date for June 21st. HUD will convene its final vendor outreach program. It will focus on service-disabled, veteran-owned small businesses, and we encourage you to participate. It's open to all small business concerns. So again, thank you very much for coming today. I want to thank my staff, Mayshoma Hayes and Derek Pruitt. We're small but mighty staff in Osterbu, and recently we have great support from leadership programs. We have Temi Oshanuga from Department of Energy. She's with the President's Management Council Fellows Program. And we have Jean Lee from the Office of Inspector General, who is in the Asian American Government Executive Network Leadership Program. I want to thank Calethea Clements for her administrative support. And of course, I want to thank the co-sponsors and my partners in the Office of the Chief Procurement Officer. Keith Serber is here with us, as well as Jimmy Scott, his deputy, and of course, Nicole Jackson. And the Assistant Secretary for Administration, Suzanne Tubbs, she is our Senior Procurement Executive. So I understand the Secretary is in the House. So it's now my pleasure to introduce Secretary Carson. Having a long and distinguished career as a world-renowned pediatric neurosurgeon, Secretary Ben Carson was sworn in as the 17th Secretary of the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development on March 2nd, 2017. Secretary Carson has been a champion of HUD's mission and small business programs here at the department. I truly appreciate his leadership and his participation. The Secretary brings a very important perspective on areas in the country that are struggling. I'm excited by the important linkage between one of his initiatives, the Envision centers, and the HUBZone businesses. So please join me in welcoming Secretary Carson. I do want to note our colleagues from the U.S. Small Business Administration has provided you a token.
Oh,
You're an honorary HUBZone program champion.
That's what I've always wanted. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, thank you, Jean, and I want to thank all the staff from the HUD Office of Small Business, Small and Disadvantaged Business Organization. They call it around here HUBZone. When I first heard that, I said, what in the world are you talking about? And also the Office of the Chief Procurement Officer for all their hard work in putting this conference together. And all the HUD program offices, the guest speakers, the federal partners who are participating in this event. We're very grateful to have you here at a historic building, the ugliest building in Washington, D.C., with the most beautiful employees. Now, the chief objectives of a historically underutilized business zone, or HUBZone, are job creation and capital investment in distressed communities. 3 years ago, HUB hosted the first HUBZone Small Business Conference when we learned the department was falling far behind the goal of awarding 3% of eligible small business dollars to HUBZone designated firms. In 1 year, we nearly doubled HUD's HUBZone achievement, and in 2 years, we've reached 2.94%, $44.5 million, which is more than a 400% increase, and an additional $36.3 million spent with HUBZone businesses. Small businesses and HUD can and do work together. The last SBA scorecard gave our collaborative efforts, yours and ours, an A+, which is their top rank. In fiscal year 2017, HUD awarded over $746.3 million in contracts to over 188 small businesses. We exceeded our small business goal by more than 10%, with 49% of the contracts going to small businesses. Small businesses and HUD have a history of helping each other serve the American people. And small businesses remain essential to HUD's work. In fact, they're often located in the very neighborhoods where HUD-assisted families work, live, shop, and they play a critical role in the local economies. Recognizing the value of small businesses in our communities, HUD worked with the SBA to invite local HUBZone businesses to participate in a business roundtable in Detroit last December as part of the soft launch of HUD's Envision Center initiative. Now, Envision Center is something that actually was derived from the Bible. There's a verse in the Bible in Proverbs that says, without a vision, the people perish. So in the beginning, we called them vision centers, but we figured everybody would think they were going to get glasses, so we changed it to Envision centers. And Deena Bass will be speaking more about that very shortly, but we hope more HUBZone businesses will partner with HUD through the Envision centers as we work to provide more pathways to economic opportunity and job training. Those utilizing the services of our centers may very well be your future employees. HUD will continue to support businesses that play such an integral role in the lives of so many people. In my time at HUD, we've increased our outreach efforts to bring small business programs such as the Envision Centers. We have additional outreach programs coming up that we're very excited about, which you'll be hearing about. And as Jean mentioned, on June 21st, HUD will host an event focused on service-disabled veterans and their small businesses, and we hope that you will be able to attend. And please take full advantage of the networking opportunities with our program and acquisition staff, as well as the other businesses and federal agencies here today. Small business is the backbone of our country. They provide the most jobs, the most sustenance, and play a critical role in our joint efforts to rid ourselves of dependency, create much more self-sufficiency in our nation, because we need all of our people. We need all of our people to be developed. We only have 330 million. We're competing with China with 4 times that many, India 4 times that many. So we really can't afford to waste any of our people. And small business is a critical part of enabling and empowering the American workforce. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Secretary Carson, for those words of very strong support and your leadership. Our next speaker is our Deputy Chief of Staff, Ms. Deena Bass-Williams. Ms. Bass-Williams has been instrumental in shaping and implementing the Secretary's Opportunity Agenda, and she'll speak more about the Envision Centers and public-private partnerships. Please welcome Deputy Chief of Staff, Deena Bass-Williams.
I already have my pen. Thank you so much for that. Thank you so much for giving me a chance to chat with y'all. You have no idea how excited I am. I am so excited because I don't know how far I can move. I'm a wanderer. I am excited because I am one of you. I am one of you. I brought a prop. Over 15 years ago, my sister, my big sister, people think that she's younger, but she's actually the older one. Okay. Over 15 years ago, my sister and I, we started journaling like big ideas for a business, because in the 80s we grew up watching, Bobby and JR, and we knew that one day we would own our own business. So we had these journals and we started writing down ideas, and some of these things I can't read out because they're kind of crazy, but almost 11 years ago, we landed on an idea, and for 10 years, my sister has been running the business, and I took a little detour, came to HUD to work with Secretary Carson, but I'm one of you. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a small business owner at heart. And because of the fact that you are the solutionist in our community, that's why I'm just so excited to talk to you about the Secretary's, one of his main priorities, and that's this Envision Center initiative. So the Envision Center. What is the Envision Center? Basically, Secretary Carson has brought this way of thinking to HUD, and it's actually raising awareness about another part of our mission. As much as we are in the business of creating safe and accessible housing, we also have to make sure that we are creating positive exits. And that means, as important as it is to house people, we have to begin to identify ways that we can make sure that people no longer need us. And I'm looking at one of my Envision Center team members, Stephanie Holderfield, and she always says we have to work ourselves out of business. We get in trouble for saying that, but I have no shame in my game. We have to work, like HUD, we have to work ourselves out of business, and the only way to do that is to make sure that we are creating opportunities for the people that we serve. So we have to walk and chew gum at the same time. Every day in this building, there are thousands of people all across the country working on creating safe and accessible housing for Americans. But we know that for every one person that we serve, there are 10 or 11 more people that we could be serving. So we have to make sure that we're advancing opportunities so that people no longer need us. And it'll be very difficult for us to work ourselves out of business, but we have to have that mindset. So one of the Secretary's priorities is the Envision Center initiative. And so basically an Envision Center is a hub of opportunity located in and around the people that we serve. And so there are 4 pillars of opportunity: economic empowerment, educational advancement, health and wellness, and character and leadership. And we really believe that in partnership with you, we will be able to improve the numbers. We'll be able to improve the numbers. We'll be able to have more people exit HUD for positive reasons, and we will be able to help more people. So Stephanie Holderfield has been working on, we call her the silo buster. She's been working on breaking down the silos of, stand up, Stephanie. Because you have to meet Stephanie, because she's the partnership builder. So this is Stephanie. A round of applause for Stephanie. And I should also say that every team has their Girl Friday, and our Girl Friday is Laura, who keeps us organized. Laura, round of applause for Laura. So this is the thing. Positive exits will only happen if we're building strong partnerships. So we have to, and the people that we serve, you're in hub zones, and more than likely, you are in areas where there will be an Envision Center. Very soon, we will announce the first cohort of about 10 to 15 Envision Centers, and we would love to begin to think about how you can offer training in Envision Centers, how the people that we serve may be employed by you. And so one thing has to happen. We have to begin to have conversations about realistic work that can happen. One of the things that I enjoyed most about being in business for myself, I loved getting paid, but I'm going to be honest with you. When we grew enough so that we could actually pay other people, oh my gosh, there is something so awesome about actually paying other people. Like being able to grow a business in such a way that you actually have the capacity to write a check for someone other than yourself. And so what we would love to do, and Stephanie is going there. We'll have cards on the table. Actually, Jean, how do we get and make sure that they get in touch with Stephanie for the partnerships? Okay, so Jean, and look at Jean's team. Like this small team does all of this because entrepreneurs are solutionists. That's how she's able to pull this off. But Stephanie is going to be able to. We'll make sure that you have her contact information so that we can begin to build partnerships so that you can offer training. We'd love for you to be a part of this initiative. And again, the one thing that we know we have to do is create safe and affordable housing for Americans. But without question, we've got to be able to create positive exits. So that's the only thing that I wanted to talk to you about was the fact that we're excited, so excited about the Envision Center initiative. Over the next several months, we'll be rolling out more Envision Centers, but the first cohort will announce in the next month or so, and without question, there will be Envision Centers in your area, and we'd love for you to either employ the people that we serve or begin to create partnerships so that you can provide services in our Envision centers. And I don't know if I have time for questions, but I would love to take any. Or, yes, sir. Great question. How does an area qualify to be an Envision center? There is a notice in the Federal Register that came out on December 12th. Stephanie knows the exact date. December 12th, it came out, and basically communities can submit a commitment letter, and they can partner with. In the commitment, we have a template commitment letter if your communities want to submit one. But basically, you submit this commitment letter, and there are a couple of things that are helpful when you submit the commitment letter. That means that you would have someone from your municipality, whether it's the mayor or a city councilor, who would say that they support this opportunity agenda. If you have a public housing authority, to say that they support it. Those are helpful things, but really, if you have the capacity to host a site that would allow people to come in and offer training. And when I call Stephanie the silo buster, basically there are over 20 federal agencies who have agreed to partner with the Envision Center initiative. And actually, I think our actual number is in the 40s, but some of those are sub-agencies, right? So federal agencies who have said that they want to come in and offer services to the people that we serve here at HUD. And one thing we know, there's a fancy, smart, GAO report that talks about how it's important to, like, many agencies offer self-sufficiency services, but it's important to have these services in one area. The people that we serve will have to take a day off of work to go to the Department of Labor, to go to SBA, to go to, HUD, to arrange these services, right? But if we have them in one location, then it's easier for them. So we have federal agencies that will be in the location, but we also have organizations like you that may offer services on resume writing and actual job training programs as well that will physically be in the Envision Center. We are so excited about this. Stephanie and I actually had the opportunity to physically walk through the first Envision Center a couple of weeks ago, and it was amazing. Directly across the street from one of our locations, there's a space for people to go and get their GED. There's a space for people to get other types of job training. And this space had been abandoned for 10 years, and they just didn't have all of the resources together to be able to do it. So by pulling, and what we say is that we turn these Envision centers over to the community. This is truly a public-private partnership. We can't do it. Like trust me, you are the solutionist. And I love working for HUD. I love being in this space, but I have learned that this ship turns slow. You're the ones that, you're the solutionists. You're the ones that understand how to innovate and move quickly. And that's why when we build it, we turn it over to the community so that the community can build it. So that is a very long way of saying, to be an Envision Center, there's a link on our website, hud.gov/Envision Centers, and it gives you the Federal Register notice, and it also gives you this very easy letter, this template that you can follow to submit so that you can, and your community can be an Envision Center. Great, thank you. And we, again, do believe that partnering with organizations is the best way to make this happen. We know that we don't have the answers. You have the answers. So we want to make sure that we are partnering with you. So, and Stephanie, raise your hand again. Stephanie will be able to answer any questions about the partnership specifically, and Jean knows how to contact the Envision Center team if there are once you go to the website, if you do have additional questions, then we would be happy to answer anything that you have. Okay? Thank you so much. Remember, I am one of you. This is great. Y'all are solutionists. I'm so excited that you're in the building. Here we go.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having those words from Ms. Jean and from Secretary Carson and from the Deputy Chief of Staff Ms. Deena. So I see some people standing at the door. If you want to come on in, there are some seats over here all the way to my right. If you want to come on in and grab a seat, now's a great time. Wonderful, wonderful. So I hope everybody's enjoying our conversations and our speakers so far. And, just want to let you know I'm glad to see that this room is filling up. And as you can see from our map here behind us, this is the HUBZone map. And you can see HUBZones are steadily growing across the United States. So thank you all for, all of your hard work and for always trying to help the government to accomplish their missions. And we're here to try to help you all grow. So our next speaker is going to be Mr. Keith Server. He is HUD's Chief Procurement Officer. Prior to July 2016, Mr. Server served as HUD's Acting Chief Procurement Officer since March of 2014. And prior to that, he was the Deputy Chief Procurement Officer, to which he was appointed in June of 2010. Mr. Server has over 35 years of acquisition experience, which includes the Director of OCPO's Western Field Contracting Office in Denver and Director of the Regional Contracting Division for HUD's Fort Worth Regional Office. Mr. Server was an officer in the United States Air Force from 1979 to 1992, serving in various contracting and leadership positions. Mr. Server has a bachelor's degree in business administration from Oregon State University and received his MBA from Troy University. Please welcome Mr. Keith Server, HUD's Chief Procurement Officer.
Thank you, Nicole, for that introduction. The longer I work, the longer that bio gets, so I think it's probably time to retire pretty soon. So I've been telling everybody that I know that I'm planning on retiring the end of this summer or into the fall, but everybody keeps trying to talk me out of it, so we'll have to see how that works. This may be my last one, it may not, so we'll see. But I do want to thank everybody for coming. We were a little bit nervous at the beginning with a lot of empty seats. But part of that was registration was open until 10:30, so some of you may have waited until just before that to show up. But when they said we had 250 people registered, I thought, wow, that's really great. That's that's really a testament to what our OSDBU is doing in terms of these outreach events and training events and getting people to come in. It also helps us do better at reaching our goals. So one thing I wanted to talk about is specifically the HUBZone program itself versus our other programs. As was mentioned before, HUD has generally done a very good job of meeting and far exceeding our small business goals, actually. And in many of the other socioeconomic categories, small disadvantaged business, we've always done really well in women-owned business. The areas that we've been challenged in past years was reaching the service-disabled vet small businesses and the HUBZones. And so over the last few years, as you've heard, we've really redoubled our efforts to try to meet those goals. In particular, I look at the HUBZone goal as not just a socioeconomic program. If you think of the other programs, which are all vital programs, obviously, to the small business environment, those are about entrepreneurship. They're about if the ownership falls into a certain category, you get categorized as that group. But there's no real restrictions on who you hire, things like that, and where you have to live, or where you have to have your business. The HUBZone program is really about empowerment and employment. So as a HUBZone, you have to have your business in that HUBZone area, in that historically underutilized business district. And a large percentage of your employees actually have to live in that area. And so I look at the HUBZone program as really part of building America back up, and especially some of these areas, as you can see on the map, there's a lot of them that historically have been underutilized. And so I think the HUBZone program, for me, is really one of the ones that we really need to do a lot more focus on. And as you've heard, we almost reached our goal this past year, not quite. Part of that is due to a lot of efforts on our part. Other parts of it are simply due, I don't want to say to luck, but where HUBZones were able to compete against other small businesses and win the contract. They weren't HUBZone set-asides necessarily. They just simply won. And that's a real success story. A lot of our programs, they have set-asides where you set aside for only those groups, or even the 8A program where you're only competing, you're not even competing, you get a sole source contract. But when our vendors start winning contracts in competition, so I am a firm believer that competition for the government brings down prices, but I think it also brings in solutions. It's not always going to the same person all the time. So I'm really thrilled that our HUBZone program is beginning to really ramp up and be successful. In large part due a lot of the efforts that we're doing, but also with the OSDBU just getting the word out and doing the marketing and research and things like that. Also getting our program office customers. Sometimes it can be hard to convince them that a small business can do their work, and that a service-disabled vet or a HUBZone contractor can do their work. And we really have to do the market research and help them to understand that opportunity. And so the efforts that we've taken to really improve on that outreach, and that we really focusing on our market research. One of the things that I did, especially for our IT procurements a couple of years ago, was mandate that my staff will look at HUBZone first before we look at any other socioeconomic categories for our IT procurements. And I think that's been successful for us in some respects. So, but at the same time, we're not looking at, whether it's HUBZone or any other group, at any cost. So while we look at those as our first opportunities, we're not saying, well, we're going to award it to a HUBZone contractor at any cost, whether they have an experience doing it, at whether their prices are too high or not. So it's a very robust process for us. And it's important that we do that strong market research to find vendors that fit into the HUD environment. One of the things I want to leave with you all is that the way for you to get into the HUD environment and to compete for HUD contracts, if you're a new HUBZone, chances are you're not going to get a contract right off the bat with any federal agency, because you don't have any experience in federal contracting as a HUBZone contractor. The things I would encourage you to do, especially if you're a newer vendor, is things like today, attending these events, training, but also networking, finding other vendors that you can work with to gain your experience. Our large business contractors have socioeconomic goals as well that they're supposed to be reaching, and that's one of the things that I've been harping on very heavily with my staff and with the OSDBU, that our large business contractors have to have some realistic socioeconomic goals, subcontracting goals, and they have to make them. And so if you feel you have a niche somewhere, find a large business contractor that is getting a contract, or that's searching for a contract, or that even has a contract already, and see if you can subcontract with them and gain some of that experience. Because one of the things we look at is it's not so much experience, we call past performance. So past performance encompasses not just experience, but the quality of that experience. How well did you do the job in the past? So partner with somebody, either another HUBZone, another small business, or a large business, gain some of that experience and make sure you do it well. And that's what agencies will look at. That's what we're looking for when we're searching out HUBZones and service-disabled vets and any other businesses, for that matter, that we want to do business with HUD. It's like I said, it's not HUBZone at any cost. We've got to make sure we still have a mission to support. So we've got to make sure that we're getting good vendors to support the mission. So, like I said, when you're looking for opportunities, though, do your market research. Look at the agencies. All the agencies are supposed to have a business opportunities webpage. OSDBU does a really good job of maintaining ours, keeping it up to date. Look on those opportunities pages for planned procurements that may fit the area that you're looking for. And there are points of contact on those pages. Talk to those folks. Well, I have had some issues where some vendors have contacted us and said, I'm trying to reach out, but they're not responding to me. Some of our program officers are a little bit leery. They don't know for sure what they can talk to you about, and they want to make sure that they don't cross the line. So, we need to educate them a little bit more too. But if you do have problems getting somebody to reach out to you, contact us or contact the OSDBU, and we can help try to facilitate that. They're not going to tell you, they're not going to give you copies of the work statements or the IGCEs, the government cost estimates or anything like that, but they can talk to you about just general what the requirements are, and they can take your capability statements and make sure you emphasize some of your background in those statements and tailor them to those opportunities. If all you're doing is giving out a general, here's everything I've done in the last 10 years, and it's very general, then people are well, that's great, and toss it aside. So tailor it to that procurement that you're looking forward to. Really let them know that one is important to you, not just everything. We've had vendors that say, "Yeah, I can do anything," and they get nothing. Okay, so tailor it to the opportunities you're looking for. And the main thing is do your networking as much as you can. Like I say, with the large businesses that are here, with the other agencies that are here. I'm trying to remember, I think this is the first one we've done with other agencies participating as well too. Could be wrong about that, but as far as I remember anyway. So that's great. That's a great opportunity for them and for you as well. But the last thing I want to emphasize, there can be tendencies sometimes to, what I say, cross the line. Every week I see an article about either a business or a government person who has crossed the line and they've done things they shouldn't have done, and they get away with it for a little while, but it catches up to them. The federal contracting arena has a lot of rules and regulations. If you've had any contracts, just try reading the FAR, the Federal Acquisition Regulation. If you have insomnia, that'll work for you. And you'll sleep for a year because that's how long it'll take you to read it all. But there are a lot of rules and regulations. Make sure you're in compliance with them. Last year I had too many conversations with our Office of Inspector General about potential violations by both contractors and staff. Those aren't good conversations to have. And I just want to leave you with that. Is make sure it's not getting that dollar at any cost. Just like we don't want to award a contract at any cost, you shouldn't search to try to obtain that business at any cost either. Make sure don't impugn your integrity and your ethics, which is, there's actually a FAR clause for that, that you have to have an ethics program in place. So it's really, really important if you want to be successful for a long time. And that's kind of a down point. Maybe I should have done that in the middle somewhere rather than. But I don't want to talk too long. I'm not sure if my staff have an over/under on me, whether I'll be able to keep it to 10 minutes or not. I don't know if I did. But anyway, I'll leave you with that because I know we've got a good panel up here, and there'll be a very robust discussion on that. So thank you very much again for attending. We're really looking forward to great things and big results out of this. I'm hoping to see some of you with some contracts in the near future. Thanks.
Thank you again, Mr. Server, for those words of encouragement. So now we're going to prepare to receive our HUBZone program panel. I'm going to call your names, and as I do, if you all would come on up to the stage and take your seats. It's going to be moderated by Ms. Michelle Burnett from the HUBZone Council, and then we'll have Ms. Mariana Perdeau, Ms. Holly Schick, Mr. Jimmy Scott, I'm not pronouncing your name right, Delali DeSarvasa, I don't know if I'm saying it first, DeRasa, okay, who is the president of Fearless Solution. And so they're going to go through some questions that have already been sent in. And once they go through those questions, then we'll have some time at the end for questions that you may have from the audience to talk with them about. Each person is going to give a brief introduction of themselves. And after that, then they'll get started with the questions. So I'll turn it over now to Michelle.
Hi, I'm Michelle Burnett. I recently took over the management of the HUBZone Contractors National Council, and it's really humbling to be up here with these individuals. My first job was working under Mariana, so I'm super excited. She's kind of a rock star if you guys haven't got to meet her. So I look forward to being able to really represent you guys here.
Oh, it's a tough green button. Okay, good morning. Thank you so much for investing the time here today. My name is Mariana Pardo. I'm the director of the HUBZone program, and I'm very proud of this program and the work that the HUBZone firms are doing, and particularly of this agency. Thank you so, so much for all you're doing, Jean, for your agency, and of course, the Procurement Chief, what is the title? Procurement? Chief Procurement Officer. He has done a tremendous job. I was here last year, and he was in the audience. And very few times, I go to a lot of events like this, and very few times I see the level of leadership that HUD provides. So that demonstrates to you the importance that this program has for the agency. So thank you so much for investing the time. I'm sure that you're going to find it very productive today. Thank you.
Doing so well with this either. Good morning, everyone. I'm Holly Schick. I'm the director of the All Small Mentor-Protege program at the Small Business Administration. It is such a pleasure to be here, and I'd like to thank Jean and her staff for all the good work that they do, for the invitation and the opportunity to come and give you just a brief snippet about the All Small program that we have. I'm not sure, do you want me to do some introductory remarks and come back? Because I have a little PowerPoint and I don't want to take too much time if you want me to do it now or later.
Yes, Mentor-Protege is pretty awesome if you don't know about it. So do we want to start off with
Okay.
Mentor-Protege? After we do that. Cool. Sure.
Okay, so you want me to,
Let him introduce yourself, and then we'll let you take the floor.
got it, all right.
Yes, I'm Jimmy Scott. I'm the Deputy Chief Procurement Officer here at HUD. It is good to see all of you here. I see a lot of familiar faces as well as some new faces, but I also note that the audience is growing. I've been at HUD for almost 8 years now. I started as a division director, and I was all of the ACPOs for both field and headquarters, and now I'm the deputy. And I've really watched the program grow. As you heard, we have a constant progressive increase in our HUB small business utilization, so it's really awesome to see you all today, and I'm looking forward to a great panel.
Hi, my name is Delali Jarasa. I'm founder and president of Fearless Solutions, a software firm. First, I want to say thank you for Michelle and team for putting together this conference and HUD for hosting us. I do just about anything Michelle or Mariana they tell me to do, so I got dressed up, put a tie on for everybody today. But I run a company called Fearless. We're a software engineering firm, and really we exist. When you think about technology today, you can hit a button and a car will show up in a couple minutes. I order something on Amazon, and within an hour, it could be at my house. And that happens because there's a lot of technology behind the scenes where they can predict what I need before I need it. And when we looked at all the technology that was happening in the commercial space, we looked at civic technology and what was happening in government services from federal level, state level, local level, and realized that's not the same technology that often lives in both of those worlds. So we exist really to fit in that gap and to provide technology that we say powers things that matter, and we want to build what's called software with the soul. One of our inventions here, you'll see the HUBZone map, so we're the firm that built the modernized HUBZone map, so we've got a lot of interest in solving some of the tough civic challenges. Thank you.
All right, we're gonna bring up Mentor-Protege because a lot of the questions that individuals brought in is how do you make yourself successful when you're small? And this is a very good way to do it. So I'm gonna hand that over.
All right, I'm back on. The PowerPoint is projecting that way, that direction too?
Yes,
Okay.
through the managers.
So let me see here. Oh, all right.
Oh, that's nice.
I can really drive this. The PowerPoint presentation has a... Oh. See? Because I can't see what you can see. Okay. The PowerPoint will be available to you after the conference. I'm not going to go into detail on everything, but I want to cover some of the highlights and that brings to your attention the fact that it is one of the newest tools in the federal acquisition marketplace, and one that I think very specifically HUBZone firms can take advantage of in terms of building their portfolio in the federal acquisition marketplace. The first slide, just really quickly, talks about the history. Not going to go into detail about that, but to just let you know, it's relatively new. We kicked off the program October 1 of 2016. So we've been in existence about 18 months. We have been incredibly successful. We have right now 530 mentor-protege teams in our portfolio, growing at about 2 a day, which is pretty exciting for us. And so we didn't do a lot of marketing when we started. We did kind of a soft launch to let it grow organically. Really glad we did that. And I think the thing that's important to note is that we were a bit modeled after the successful 8A program, which I'm sure many of you are aware of. 8A has a mentor-protege component as well, which was very successful within the confines of the 8A program. And Congress thought, and other advocacy groups thought, that wow, this kind of mentor-protege teaming approach would really serve the rest of the marketplace very, very well. So they thought about creating a bunch of different separate mentor-protege programs for like women-owned business, service-disabled veterans, HUBZones, whatever. And the comments came back, thankfully, you've got to be kidding me, creating all of those different programs. So just create one. And in creating just one, you will build the economy and the efficiency and open the door for all of them. So that's what we did. And so the all small, that is our hallmark, is that we cover all of the areas of what typically is known as the set-aside program categories: small business, women-owned business, service-disabled veteran, HUBZone. We even do many 8A firms in our portfolio. So I wanted to tell you a little bit about that history. The concept of the mentor-protege programs in general is to take a successful, growing, blooming small business, partner them with a mentor that has some traction, and you heard mentioned earlier past performance, that has some knowledge of the federal marketplace, and partner up with that mentor to get what is called, in general, management and technical assistance. And there are, let me see here, I can't read my own slides here, but those are the 6 areas that we allow the mentor-protege teams to select in terms of how the mentors are going to help those proteges. And they do that by making application to us on a platform called certify.sba.gov. And that is a platform for all of the government contracting programs within the Small Business Administration that Mariana and I and the 8A program and others are moving toward. We're not all there yet, but we're moving there. But our application is on that platform. And again, it's certify.sba.gov. And in that application, as a company, you will identify, hopefully we'll have already identified your mentor and agreed to what areas of assistance is going to be provided. And that can be anywhere from just mentoring and coaching on business systems. It can be on marketing and outreach. It can be what we call business development, finding those acquisition targets that you want to go after, and then looking at what capabilities do you need to develop within your company to be successful. Our program is a little different than some of the other mentor-protege programs in the federal marketplace. And I think it's important that you understand that distinction. There are 5 other mentor-protege programs in different agencies throughout the federal government. Those programs are particularly designed for prime contractors, usually the large businesses, and they're designed to develop the subcontracting relationship and basically help with the supply chain. Our program was designed to be protege or small business driven, so that we look at the protege as the #1 target for our program. The mentor comes in as the adjunct, and they form this mentor-protege agreement or pair. Let's see, let me go back here. Take a look at this slide. It just basically covers kind of the levels of advantage that our program would provide. First of all, you can enter into a mentor-protege agreement and basically just the protege develop those internal business capabilities and grow, and may not turn around and bid on that, what's in any particular acquisition format. They're just growing their company, and maybe they're looking the future, 2-3 years down the road, we want to bid on something. So we consider that a success as well. The next level for the advantage of the program is actually if the protege becomes a subcontractor to the mentor. And that is something, again, that takes it a little bit more into the more sophisticated arena, and again, starts to give them a little more experience in terms of the subject matter and contracting. The third area, which is really one of the hallmarks of our program, is the capability of that mentor and protege to take it a next step to a joint venture. And that joint venture is the legal entity whereby they bid on small business set-aside contracts, HUBZone contracts, or whatever. The protege in that joint venture carries with it the certification that it has already acquired. So if it is a HUBZone certified firm, it comes into a joint venture. That joint venture carries with it that certification. Therefore, the joint venture can bid on a HUBZone set-aside contract. Right now, about 14% of our portfolio is HUBZone certified. And again, as I mentioned, we're not a certification program. We are, I would say, a tool. One of the things that we are finding as folks go through this developmental chain and get their mentor-protege agreements approved, one of the things we're finding is as they form their joint venture and start to bid, they have lots of questions about joint ventures because it's relatively new in the federal marketplace. Not all agencies or contracting officers understand it. And so right now we are finding that we are doing a lot of education and outreach to the procurement community in terms of just what is it, how is it to be used. And we've made some great progress in that regard, but as with many other things, each federal agency has their own little twist on it. And so we are trying to kind of build the education around the joint ventures to be more agency specific. Because again, there is no overarching rule on how that is approached. The one other thing I would bring to your attention is that we are finding that as folks are bidding on these contracts, security clearances are becoming a challenge. Different agencies have different approaches to security postures and how they look at that, and how they look at the joint venture and whether or not it carries with it the security clearance that is needed in order for them to successfully bid. So those are some of the things that we're working on in the program that we're learning from our folks that are out there doing business in the marketplace. Of the 530 that we have, roughly 30% of them have formed joint ventures and have pursued contracts. And we're in the process now of beginning to collect that impact data to see exactly how successful have they been, what was their approach, and to just learn a little bit about their experience. We drive a community of practice for our mentor-protege pairs. About every other month, we have them on the phone, and they talk amongst themselves in terms of learning what's working, what's not working, and we find that a lot of times they're teaching and informing us, so we're trying to build that into the rules and the procedures in our program. Let me see what else. This is just a snapshot of our web page, and if you go into federal contracting and click all small, that will tell you a lot more detail than I'm able to go into here today. There is also a list of the different CFR regulations, and as was mentioned before, government contracting is highly regulated. And there are several regs that impact our program and how we approach our marketplace, but I thought that would be interesting for you if you want to go take a look and see specifically about the all small, which is 125.9. This is just a slide that will tell you the highest percentage of participants in our program so far is service-disabled veterans at about 38, 39%. Next highest amount is 8A, where we have eligible 8A firms who are in the program currently, not graduating, but in the program currently using the all small as a mechanism or as a procurement tool. Also, we have in there a listing of the top NAICS codes that we're seeing in the program, and you can see that the areas of IT and construction, the usual suspects. Let's see, what else here? I think it was mentioned earlier, but I just want to bring to your attention that we could not do this all on our own. My program is operated out of headquarters, just like Mariana in the HUBZone program. The 8A program is run throughout our system around the country through our district offices. And so we rely on the partnerships that we have with the Procurement Technical Assistance Centers, our small business development centers, women's business centers, and I wanted to list them for you. You can find them on our website as well under resources. But just know that we could not do this alone just from our staff, and that as you think about stepping into our world and maybe wanting to make an application, we are available as a resource, and I have our email addresses up here. But those folks also can be very helpful in helping you think through from a business decision. Is this program going to be helpful for me? I'm already a HUBZone certified company. How can I use this all small, again, not a certification, but how can I use this tool to get me to the next level for my business growth? These are the email addresses that we have, but our main mailbox is the one that you would want to. It's all small MPP at sba.gov. And we have prided ourselves in terms of our turnaround time. We respond to them within 24 hours. And right now, our application turnaround time is about 8 to 10 working days. And we're very proud of that quality standard. If everything is right in the package when it comes in, We look at a business plan, we look at a mentor-protege agreement, we look at some other things. There's a training module that's required. But in general, if everything is there, and the business plan shows that there's strategy behind what you're doing, our turnaround time is pretty quick. We want to make sure that we can help facilitate and get you guys into the marketplace, get you using this tool, and then working with us to figure out the different nuances as you, say, work with HUD or with GSA or some of the other agencies. We try to help you navigate through that. So I've gone through this really, really quickly, but certainly available for questions as we continue the panel here. So thank you so much.
I just want to give a kudos. She was being a little bit humble up here because when she said 8 to 10 days, they meant it. I've held a couple of our members have gone through this as a HUBZone certified company to do the Mentor-Protege. I couldn't believe how fast it went through. It took, I was like, man, that was really long. How'd you guys even read it that fast? So it's definitely great. And SBA has an amazing tutorial that really encompasses a lot of the information, and they have a lot of templates and everything to make it very seamless for you guys to get a part of this. But one question that does come up is after, as you mentioned with the joint venture, there is some obstacles that are coming about with that, meaning like how people properly update their SAM profile, what are the reporting requirements for joint ventures from a commercial standpoint, subcontracting, because if they develop this joint venture, they're competing maybe not always on prime contracts. So is there going to be some sort of tutorial or where people can go to get a better understanding of that?
Yeah. We are doing right now a couple of things to try to bring all of that information together that we're learning kind of as we go here, the experience. We are going to hopefully next week post on our website 2 documents, a joint venture template. Again, it's not a required form, it's a template. It's meant to be a guide. In the Federal Register, there are 12 items that are required to be at a minimum in a joint venture agreement that those contracting officers will take a look at. And we want to make sure that in the template, if you consider doing it, that you do and are able to check off at least those 12 that are required. The other item that we're going to post is a guidebook that goes along with it that kind of explains, you know, here's how you fill this out, here's what you should think about as you're doing it. And one of our biggest issues and what we're trying to guide folks is, as a protege, as a small business, don't just take the template, sign it, seal it with your mentor, and hand it in. Get legal counsel. This is a business agreement. You know, the mentor is working on their behalf to get what they need out of the agreement. You need to, as another party to that agreement, make sure that you're getting out of that agreement what you need. So we give you the template as a place to start, but you should not end there. The things that we are also learning with the joint ventures is that different agencies have different levels of understanding about how the joint ventures appear in an acquisition. For example, the past performance. One agency might look at the past performance of the mentor and the protege together, and it imputes to the JV. And of course, that is what our intent is, that is one of the value propositions that the mentor brings, is that they bring past performance and experience. Not all agencies right now are looking at it like that. They're looking at the joint venture as a brand new company. And it is a brand new company, so they're not seeing any past performance. And so we're getting a lot of calls in that regard, and then I'm putting on my advocacy hat, and reaching out and talking to folks about, let's walk this through, let's think about this a little bit. One of the great partners that we've had is with GSA. in terms of working with their policy folks. And at this point, the one determination, we weren't as happy with it as we could have been, but we made some real definitive progress, was that the joint venture has to be on the schedule. If you have a mentor who's on a schedule and the protege who's on the schedule, it won't automatically impute to the JV. So the JV has to apply and get on the schedule. And as we're rolling out this program, we're learning these things and, again, trying to work through and be good policy advocates and trying to identify if there are, speed bumps that folks are, incurring, what are they? So with the joint ventures, we are also looking at, we have a tutorial online. And right now we are doing another version and we're adding a lot more content on the joint venture part of it because it is complicated. And we have different audiences for that particular information. What we want our customers to learn and read is maybe a little different than how we would approach, say, training contracting officers, in that regard. So it's probably one of that and the security clearances, our top priorities for this year, to do more investigating and figure out how can we help you navigate through that. Because we work with the OMB, Office of Federal Procurement Policy and Planning, and they are great advocates of ours and have been champions. But one of the things we realize is that we are not going to be able to make an impact writ large in the arena in terms of some of these things. So we're going to have to help educate and navigate for each particular agency. And they have pledged their support in trying to help us bring clarity to that.
Well, that is awesome. I'm super excited
Yeah.
because a lot of those questions were mine. So right now we're going to have to keep it flowing, but I know a lot of you guys have seen the changes to the mapping tool, that there was a freeze with the changes that came out with the NDAA. And I know that I've met with Mariana a number of times. Is there any new updates that individuals should be aware of regarding the HUBZone program?
Yes, definitely. By the way, how many representatives here are here today that have that are representing HUBZone firms? Wonderful. I don't have to go through the basics. So let me jump right in on the updates. As you see the map behind me, the biggest update is the stabilization of these geographical areas. Whereas in the past, we had to really review the data coming in every year. And then if an area lost the designation, we needed to grandfather it in or redesignate it for 3 years. Now, we basically, starting in 2020, we're going to be reviewing the maps every 5 years. Now, when I say started in 2020, that is verbatim from the NDAA 2018, which is the National Defense Acquisition Act that passed last December. When they're referring in terms of the maps, this update every 5 years starting in 2020, January 2020, they're actually referring to the census 2020. So it is important to remember that the census, obviously, we're all going to be filling out the census in 2020, but the data that we get from the census, we're not going to have available until 2021. So whenever you go to the maps right now, you're checking in an address for an employee or a potential site that you want to locate in the future or something like that, you may see some areas that say this area will be HUBZone until December 2021. And that refers to the date that we estimate that we're going to have the data from the census 2020. Now, the areas that were expiring, because when they're redesignated for 3 years, then at the end of 3 years, unless they become newly designated, they're going to be expiring. As an earlier speaker was saying, we're all working together so that we don't have as many underutilized areas. So eventually we want to see the map with a little bit more white, right, in it, and not so much color in there. So basically what happens is there were a lot of areas in 18 and 19 that were expiring. So these NDAA 2018 also put a freeze on the maps, basically saying, SBA, don't do anything until that December 2021. They're talking about January 2020, but we double-check with them, and they're actually referring to the census, okay? So that's a big, big change there. Other change also pertaining to these locations is an opportunity for the governor to actually petition SBA for the designation of a HUBZone, okay? It has a lot of nuances in it. Not every area, obviously. They can only petition one area a year unless there's unusual circumstances. They have to, I don't know much about it yet because we will have regulations. That is not yet implemented. It's going to come implemented. That one will be January 2020, for real, January 2020, not connected to the census, okay? So sometime in 2019, you will see in the Federal Register notices of regulatory changes and regulatory updates because we need to draft regulations to make sure that communities know how the governor is going to be petitioning this. So this is important for all of you to know. You can actually Google NDAA 2018, and it's thousands of pages. But if you do a key search for specific words, you just put HUBZone, and then you get to the particular page. And the particular requirements for the governor's petitions are there. If you want to share it with your local officials, at least they can start understanding that a little bit more. Because again, as one of the previous speakers say, the difference with this program is the economic development, is empowerment. And I know that Delali, I want to speak very quickly because I'm looking forward to Jimmy's and Delali's talk, particularly Delali because you actually work in a HUBZone and you have employees that are in different HUBZones, and that's the purpose of this program, right? For companies to invest in these areas, invest in the employees. So those are the major updates that I wanted to bring up to your attention. Other updates there are not as major as this, like for example, processing applications within 60 days becomes now statutory from the time that we have a completed application, obviously. Right now, the process of, our process of processing initial applications is a little over 60 days, 61, 67 days, okay? So we're almost there anyway, which is good. And now we're on the hook because it becomes by law that we need to do it. The other things are an opportunity, and this we need to kind of sift it through a little bit more. You will see when you're reading there, it says that companies, when they're undergoing a program exam, if they're out of compliance, referring to the employee compliance. If the companies are found to be not in compliance, they will have 30 days to come up to compliance. We need to draft regulations around there. I'm going to stay here longer today, so whenever you come in with questions about that, I probably am not going to know the answer yet. But your questions will help us frame these regulations around, kind of like we want to make it as clear as possible for all of you. And again, remember when these things go out in the Federal Register, there will be opportunity for you to comment, and we want comments negative and positive, you know, both of them. Sometimes the negatives are a little bit better because if we get all positive, then we think that everybody loves it and we go with it when there may be some folks that are having a problem with it, and we do want to hear about it, okay? So those are the ones that I wanted to highlight. You want to go through the other two?
Well, I know that there's a lot of, the HUBZone Council is an advocacy group, and it's a bunch of companies, so there's a lot of regulations in the HUBZone program, specifically verbiage, that really inhibit growth. And I know that the SBA has been diligently, Mariana and the new GCBD, Mr. Wong, have been looking at different ways in order to modify some of the language. Is there any updates on that language?
There will be sometime this year, again in the Federal Register, we're going to publicize a review to the full 13 CFR Part 126. And as my colleague from HUD said earlier, really understanding the regulations is very important. Like, for example, employee. Well, guess what? Employee has a regulatory definition. It's not plain old employee. And it's extremely important to understand it, because if you don't, then you're going to count wrong. And then remember 35%. 35% of what? Of what total, right? And so it's very important. Now, you're going to be receiving afterwards some webinars that we conducted about employee definitions and affiliation and joint ventures, HUBZone joint ventures and HUBZone contracting that provides more information. So you will be receiving that later on. That's the other item that is going to come in.
You made a good comment that you sent it out and you asked for feedback. Where can we defer the individuals to go to look at where they should provide
The
feedback?
Federal Register. If you can, I think that in the Federal Register, I think that actually you can sign in to get notices. But if that is not the case, it used to be, if that is not the case, periodically go in, or you belong to different communities or organizations. We also send via GovDeliv to our distribution list that now has about 14,000 or so people. We send notices, and we actually bring into that distribution list all the certified firms. So if you don't want notices from HUBZone, unfortunately, every time that we send a notice, which is not often, okay, we don't flood you with stuff, but every time we send through the distribution list, we update it to make sure that you are getting the latest. So we will be sending notices when we place things in the Federal Register. One thing that I wanted to discuss that is coming up effective May 25th, so in a couple of weeks, is a change in the ownership requirements. So this only applies for firms that are owned by another firm, okay? So if you're not owned by another firm, you can actually don't hear this, don't even pay attention. But if you happen to be owned by or you think that eventually your firm is going to be changing structure and you want to have a holding company owning the firm, it's going to be okay. In the past, it was not, okay? Actually, currently it's not. It's going to be okay starting May 25th. There's a lot of more detail around there, but that is really the crux of it. And we changed it because it really does not make sense for the HUBZone program to have that restriction that's simply because, you know, I own this corporation that is owned by me, Mariana, 100%. I'm a citizen. And then I own this other LLC, and I want to have the LLC apply for HUBZone certification. Well, right now, guess what? My LLC would not be obtaining the certification because it's owned not by a human being that happens to be a citizen. It's owned by an entity, by a corporation. We're changing that, okay? So keep that in mind if in the future you want to change that. I wanted to, if I may, I wanted to go into the employee because I know that we have very little time available. I wanted to go into the 1099s. That's a question I know that Michelle was mentioning that is a constant question as to whether can we use 1099s. A 1099 is considered to be not an employee. Remember that this program is for economic development, so we want to see employees being in your payroll, receiving benefits, you know, paying Social Security, all those things. So a 1099 ordinarily would not be included in the employee count. When I say ordinarily, it's because we apply a totality of the circumstance analysis to it, meaning that we look at trying to prevent a company from kind of like trying to go around the regulations sometimes, you know, by designating somebody that really walks and talks and works just like an employee. You know, I'm an administrative support person. I work for this company 40 hours a month, which is the minimum. And, but they're paying me under a 1099. I'm not a W-2. That is not your typical 1099. You know, a 1099 is usually somebody that already has a lot of other businesses, somebody that has helped me maintain my website, for example, and they also maintain websites, or I'm in construction, and somebody that, you know, installs the roof, and so they install other roofs. That's your typical 1099. So there's a lot of information you will receive in these webinars that you're going to be receiving later on. If you happen to have 1099s in your workforce, I encourage you to view this webinar so that you understand a little bit more the nuances of it, okay? And there was something else, I think.
Well, there's probably about 1 million questions people
I
have
think
about
just one
HUBZone.
more, if I may, and then
Go ahead.
is how to keep my designation once an area loses it. And very quickly, it's again understanding the regulations, and I'm going to get Delali to talk about that too, because it's basically principal office is the place where I have the majority of my employees working from. So if I have 2 locations, and one is my headquarters, it's not in a HUBZone, one is in a HUBZone, this office needs to have more employees than this one, because it's economic development. as simple as that. So let's say that in 2030 or so, this area is no longer going to be a HUBZone. I'm going to know at least, well, now with the change, I'm going to know probably 5 years even before it changes. But let's say that I know 3 years before. That gives me ample time not to move from here. That's not the intent. But perhaps I've been growing. Maybe I can open another office right here on another HUBZone. And over the period of 3 years or so, start putting more employees there. Eventually, I will have 3 locations. But if it makes business sense to me, well, why not? I invest in another area, happens to be a HUBZone. Eventually, this office, 3 years from now, when it's about to expire, and this is what companies are doing. I didn't invent this. This company will be, this area will become the principal office eventually, because it's in a HUBZone. This one no longer will be in a HUBZone. This one is not in a HUBZone. But this one has more employees than this one and this one, okay? So that's what I wanted to say about maintenance, and I'm going to be quiet now.
As Mariana kept referring to Delali, he's a small business owner. He's an 8A and HUBZone certified company. So when you were pursuing, you were obviously 8A first. What really made you move towards the HUBZone, and what is more like assist your business with growth more? Like you made a comment about, technology with the soul. Can you explain that a little bit more?
Sure, absolutely. So we got our HUBZone certification first before we got our 8A. And part of our kind of value proposition had always been, we want to do things for the community, we want to give back, and we want to build technology that supports the community. And so we learned, I think it was an SBA training I went to one day and learned about the HUBZone program, and everyone talked about how amazing it was and how much it was supposed to do for communities. We said, this is awesome, this is great. And then we were so excited with our newfound, HUBZone knowledge, and we went to go talk to, I don't know if it was a prime contractor or a government official, and said, hey, here's what a HUBZone is, and we walked through all the rules and what it does and what it meant, and they said, yep, it's awesome, it's the best program ever. And that happened kind of over and over and over again, and over time, we started saying, everyone thinks this program is amazing, and we started looking at the numbers and said, well, why isn't the government making their numbers then if it's so great? And we started to really peel back that onion, and it almost became a labor of love for us to figure out why this program is so great, why weren't the dots being connected? And there are a bunch of regulations and legal considerations that Mariana had talked about, but we saw that technology was also a factor. The map, we actually were in a situation where the map had reported wrong data, and a HUBZone that we're in was scheduled to expire, but it wasn't really. And ended up moving locations, and it caused a big storm within the organization. And so we realized that our contribution could be we could fix the tech. So we actually went and scraped all the data, and we built our own map, and built a map that we thought was a more efficient way to manage the HUBZone. Ended up building a compliance tool around that became a tool that we provided to other HUBZone companies, so much so that it caught the attention of SBA, who called us and said they wanted the whole thing, so which turned into the modernization of their HUBZone program. And for us, part of being a HUBZone, and a number of folks have mentioned today, it's not just about your capability, but it's about your community. And so when you lead only with the capability play, you're missing the entire spirit of what the HUBZone program is meant to be. So that must be part of the story that we tell. And it can't be just a construct for contracting, but whether you're a government official, a contracting officer, procurement personnel, or a firm itself, you must include the community portion of it. What are you doing for your community? How are you making your HUBZone better as a result? And as Marianne talked about, we want to work ourselves out of jobs. We want to make sure that this map becomes all clear, and that we've invested in these HUBZone communities, and they've been revitalized and they've been built up.
The one thing, Delali, is that what I see in firms is by involving the community, it also, in some areas, it seems that it also helps the firms lower their overhead a little bit, because they make connections with perhaps community colleges, high schools that are in a HUBZone, workforce development centers. The idea that has these Envision centers, because there is a lot of investment, isn't it? Can you tell us a little bit about that involvement and what it has meant for the employees that are coming to your firm and the opportunities that you're providing?
Yeah, absolutely. Unashamedly, we're all we're located in downtown Baltimore, and we're all about revitalizing and investing in Baltimore City. And so we have a number of partnerships. And for us, as a technology company, we're always interested in not just growing the community, but also the tech talent pipeline. within Baltimore. So we've partnered with a number of community organizations, Code in Schools, Digital Harbor Foundation, Denton Education, to name a few, and we help to assist some of these young folks in building up their technical capability. That's through training, through internships, really anything they need. They call us, say, we need something, and we try to provide folks that will go mentor them, that will go support them, and that's good for the community, A, it's good for the STEM pipeline, B, and C, it becomes a really good pipeline into future employees within our organization.
I want to make one point that, in case you guys were not aware, the mapping tool that you see up here is only one component of the technology that Delali built out called the Hub Finder, and it's still in a beta testing mode, but it is extremely impressive if any of you guys want to check it out. But I did want to move forward because we are here at HUD, and I was really impressed about hearing how HUD has really turned everything around and changed. Can you highlight a little bit more about what your current procurement practices are, like what contract vehicles you utilize? What made you guys turn it around that quickly?
Okay, so one of the things we did was we actually looked at all of the pain points that we had in the acquisition process, and one of the things that came out was in our acquisition planning. And so we revitalized through our policy shop our acquisition planning. Thank you, Nicole, for your hard work there. And so that we got ahead of the actual requirements that the program officers were going to have. The second piece of that was actually working with the OSDBU office and revitalizing our procurement forecast. I think it was Keith that mentioned that OSDBU works very hard to keep that up. In fact, one of the things that they've done is actually updating it every month versus once a year, which is huge for you all in trying to identify opportunities that you actually can bid on. We are, which is still a labor of love, working on the responsiveness of our program areas and responding to your inquiries about things that are on the forecast. But if you keep being vigilant in asking, we'll keep being vigilant in actually trying to make sure that they do respond so you get the information that you need. The other thing that we did was events like this. So the early exchange process with industry. And not only just small business in general, but actually looking at targeted events like this with HUBZones, women-owned small businesses, et cetera, to get the word out that we really want to do business with you when you bring the capabilities, the talent, and the quality performance to the requirements that we actually have. And so things like we're committed to putting out more RFIs, more sources sought, doing pre-solicitation conferences and pre-proposal conferences, all opportunities for us to hear from you how we can better our requirements and what we're asking you for, and also allowing you to get more information about the requirements so you can make smart business decisions about where to invest your B&P dollars most effectively. The other thing is we have, Keith has put out actual policy that or preferences or guidance to our teams to say we have hub zones. He talked about the two hub zones and service-disabled vet-owned small businesses that if the market research indicates that that they can satisfy the requirement, that we actually set it aside to those for those actual entities, and that information does come from the market research. And then the other thing is the way our evaluation factor is structured for socioeconomic participation actually gives preference to small businesses for both priming and subcontracting opportunities here at HUD. And so we kind of have given small business a leg up in being able to win awards that they qualify for, and they can put in a great proposal on. So those are the things that we did. So what did we ask you all to do? The things that we asked you all to do is look at the procurement forecast and in a targeted manner, identify those opportunities that fit within your wheelhouse that you can actually satisfy, reach out and get more information, but also respond to the notices and things that go out for that as part of the market research so that we know you're out there and you're interested in those actual opportunities. The other things that we did is, asked you all to do was to show up to events like this, because this is part of our market research. When you put your names on the list and you identify your companies and your certifications that you have, we use this as part of our market research to say, what is our potential bidders list for what kind of work we're actually looking for. The other thing we asked you all to do is bid on opportunities. The one thing I can guarantee you is if you don't put a proposal in, you're not going to win the work. And so it does you no good, and it does us no good for you to say why are hub zones, why are we not making our hub zone goals if the hub zones are not applying to the opportunities that are actually out there. So you have to bid. It's the only way that we can that you can have the opportunity to actually get the work. Like Keith mentioned, some of the increase that we saw in the last couple of years was partly due to businesses who were applying not as a hub zone, but just happened to have the hub zone designation as well, winning work, and we got credit for that, even though it wasn't a set aside. But you have to bid. And then the last thing is, in seeking the opportunities, is to actually look at what's going on in the federal acquisition marketplace. There is a heavy push on strategic sourcing, category management, the use of government-wide acquisition vehicles. Seek opportunities and partnerships to actually get on those vehicles so that you maximize the number of opportunities that you can actually be a part of or put a bid in on, either as a prime or as a acquisition team. And so those are the things that we asked you to do. The message is obviously getting out because you saw the dramatic increases in how well we did. We're looking forward to this year, hopefully actually far exceeding or at least exceeding our hub zone goals. But the only way that actually works is if we're working in partnership with you to do the things that I just outlined. If we do the things that we've committed to and you do the things that we're asking you to do, then I think we have a winning combination there to actually increase our performance even greater.
Of the contracts that HUD traditionally procures, because you made a very valid point that, just because it wasn't a HUBZone set-aside doesn't mean that it didn't go to a company that was HUBZone certified. They provided the best product. What particular contract vehicles, according to your current budget, because that's awesome that you guys update it every month, but of that forecast that you update, are a majority of those already funded? And, where should they be looking for these opportunities? Should they anticipate in RFIs and sources saw it coming down the pipeline here soon based on the forecast, or going towards maybe a vehicle?
Yes, so actually one of the elements in the forecast identifies the targeted the time when that actual solicitation is anticipated to actually hit the street. And so you can kind of phase in and look at when it's going to happen. As Deena said, the ship doesn't necessarily turn fast, so sometimes things happen. We're under a CR until April, May. So there's things that may happen that may change those timelines, and just be understanding and be prepared. It's just the nature of the beast in the government. But we actually, like I said, OSDBU and us are actually updating that monthly. So when things are changing dramatically or there's a significant change, something's not going to happen, it comes off the forecast. If through the program office we can identify that the timing of an acquisition is changing due to priority changes, then the forecast can be updated to actually show that. One of the initiatives that we're working on, but we're not there yet, is looking at doing a longer term forecast. So instead of 1 year, maybe a longer term forecast, which will give even more foresight into what's actually going to happen. But if you look at the fields there, it actually does identify when opportunities are actually going to potentially hit the street. And then if you understand, because all of the regulation and litigation around the acquisition process, you can normally back into what parts of the phase of the process are actually going to happen. The other thing is there's another field on the forecast that identifies what type of set-aside, if any, is actually for that particular requirement. And the ones to look at are, if it already says it's a hub zone, it's already been designated, it'll be set aside to a hub zone. The other opportunity I tell people to really pay attention to is the one that just is listed right now as total small business set aside. And what that's saying is we know it can be set aside to small business, but we haven't identified whether, through market research, a particular socioeconomic other class is actually available to do that work. And so you can kind of expect, or it is most likely that you'll see either an RFI or sources sought coming out related to that in advance of that solicitation date, so that we can make a conscious determination of whether we are able to set that aside for a HUBZone.
And is there any spoiler alerts for anybody in here that, something might be coming down the pipeline that they should be looking for? Or is that like off key right now and just put you on the spot?
Yeah, no spoiler alerts there, but understand that we are moving into the last 2 quarters of the fiscal year, and the budget was just recently passed, so the floodgates have opened. So things that may have been being delayed due to budget restrictions, and the things that are looked at for this year, because HUD does get some multi-year money, but most of the program, a lot of the money that has to be spent in that fiscal year. So there's going to be a vast amount, to the chagrin of my staff who have to do it, a actual lot of solicitations, a lot of RFIs, and a lot of sources sought that are going to hit the streets. And so if you haven't tagged HUD in your Fed Biz Ops notices, or on the other portals that are out there, please do so, because there's going to be a lot of activity going on here for the next 4 to 5 months, or 4 to 5 months, yeah.
Well, I think that was a pretty clear hint, guys. So if you didn't pick up on that subliminal messaging, we got some bigger problems. So one of the big concerns that a lot of...
I do want to kind of piggyback on something that was said earlier. HUD does a lot of different type of activities, from financial type activities to IT to, we're in a lot of different industries and business areas. And we are seeing across the board a lot of joint ventures that are actually bidding on work that we're doing, and some of them are actually part of the Mentor-Protege program. It is a great program. I won't say HUD is the most mature, in actually looking at and evaluating those, but we do see a lot of them in proposals because the nature of the work that we do is geographically dispersed, and oftentimes it can be very complex. And so having those proper teams put together in the joint ventures is one way to actually do that and come with the best teaming arrangement to actually address the actual requirement.
Yes, I want to piggyback on the joint venture, because of course a joint venture can also be used outside of the all small Mentor-Protege. And in the HUBZone program, we are seeing, the way that we're seeing is because they come as a protest, right? And so something that is very important that Holly was mentioning earlier, this is because the 30 minutes are up for the panel. That's why I'm kind of like, click. But at any rate, it's very important that joint venture, the structure, the joint venture agreement, to follow the regulations. So for example, if you're looking into forming a HUBZone joint venture, which are getting awards, it's very important to follow that the agreement has to have all the elements that is described in the regulations, 13 CFR part 126 and somewhere in there. So in the joint venture webinar that you were going to be receiving, there is more information about all the little elements that have to be there. And if it doesn't, if we get a protest of an award to a HUBZone joint venture, and the protest is usually challenging the eligibility of the HUBZone member, and we find the HUBZone member eligible, but the joint venture agreement is anemic, it doesn't have some of these elements, guess what? That joint venture is not going to receive that award. Yep. So it's extremely important. I cannot emphasize enough what my colleagues have said here. Thank you.
Well, go.
I'd just like to add one point to the JV discussion. I didn't mention it earlier, but one of the advantages of our program is what's known as exclusion from affiliation. And that becomes really important because in that mentor-protege agreement and ultimately in the joint venture, you have a combining of past performance, experiences, resources, all of those things. By virtue of just the definition of a joint venture, two business entities become affiliated. And in the federal acquisition landscape, affiliation is frowned upon. So our program, if you participate, offers an exclusion from that affiliation and allows you to bring to the table the past performance, the skills and expertise of the joint venture and the combined assets. And that is really, really important because that gives you extra shopping power as you're looking at the acquisitions.
And we're being told to wrap up, so I want to thank everybody for coming. And just Mr. Scott made a comment about category management, and if you did not understand what that meant or you've never heard it, you better do a quick Google. Okay, because it's definitely probably going to impact you. Or just come talk to me, because I Google a lot.
All right. So thank you very much for our esteemed panel. You all gave some wonderful information, and I hope it was helpful to you all. What we're going to do now is transition into our matchmaking sessions, which will be, we have some of the other agencies located right outside the door along the back window. And then in the next room, if you go out the door to your right, will be all of the HUD program offices will be located in there. I will tell you that housing is at the very back. We put them at the back for a reason so that we don't have a congestion and confusion at the door. So would ask that you all be mindful of the time. Try to spend maybe 5 minutes with them so that, because we do have other folks that want to see them within the time frame that we've offered. I think we're going to go to 1 o'clock with the matchmaking session. And then after that, you know, you're free to go for today. But we do appreciate you all so much for giving us your time so far, and I hope that you find this information very, very informative. If you still have questions, I'm sorry that we didn't have time for individual questions at the mic. You can speak to our folks individually. They'll be hanging around for a little while, and you can ask them questions. And other than that, thank you very much, and enjoy the rest of your day.